Good morning. No, no. Did you hear it? Is it on? Sorry. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Erie Community College's Constitution Day event. For those of you who don't know, my name is Regina Lettieri, and I coordinate the service learning projects for students. And I'd like to welcome everybody today on behalf of myself, my department, and Student Government Association. We're very excited about our program for today. I'd like to welcome up to the podium Jasmine Reed, who's our Student Government Association president here at ECC City Campus, to read the preamble.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today, and on behalf of SGA, I'd like to thank everybody that came out. You guys really mean a lot. And now for the United States preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Thank you. And now I'd like to welcome Maria from the ESO department. She's going to introduce the rest of the students that are reading today.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Are you familiar with any of the following? Corned beef and cabbage, beef on weck or kimmelweck. Are you familiar with pierogies or stuffed cabbage rolls or stromboli or lasagna? These wonderful dishes are now a part of our nation's cuisine. And that is thanks to the millions of immigrants from Ireland, Germany, Poland, and Italy who immigrated here over 100 years ago. Some of you proudly share the heritage of these countries. Like your great-grandparents who came here for a better life, there are thousands of people throughout the world today who are doing the same. They too want their families to be safe, to be able to thrive and to have freedoms. According to the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, there are approximately 68 million people who have been forcibly displaced due to conflicts, wars, and economic turmoil in their countries. The number of refugees is the most since World War II. Most people remain displaced within their home countries, but about 25.4 million people worldwide have fled their own countries as refugees. More than half of the refugees in the world are children. One person was displaced every 2 seconds in the past year. Because of the freedoms guaranteed by the American Constitution, many of today's refugees and immigrants want to move to the United States. We are very lucky that we have some of these wonderful immigrants and refugees here as students at SUNY Erie. Some have come from war-torn countries, some have witnessed genocide in their own cities, and some are here because they could not freely practice their religion. Please help me welcome them to our community, and please help me congratulate the winners of this year's Constitution Day Essay Contest. We will first start with Rania. Please, Rania, come to the top.
Thank you. Should I say it? My essay about the disabled and disabled rights and the difference between Libya and America. Human rights are the most important rights in the world. However, there are no human rights in Libya, where I used to live, especially the rights of the disabled. The disabled in Libya are marginalized and have no rights from the state or even the people, especially the parents and relatives. Here in America, there is a big difference in the treatment of the disabled from their treatment in Libya for all concerned. For example, the disabled have no rights to education in Libya because they consider that their education is a waste of time and even an expense because they have special needs. Society believes they are hampering the natural movement of the country. For instance, no rights for the disabled allow them to leave their homes because their people feel ashamed of them, also because the people laugh at the disabled and mock the disabled. In addition, the disabled person is an outcast for the most part, and unfortunately, the father and the mother are also outcasts because they know the size of the problems that they will face from the society. It is unfair that the poor and disabled, they are outcast from society because not choose to have special needs. There was a disabled guy in our neighborhood in Libya who came from time to time to play with the children, but he was beaten and crushed because his only sin was that he was still handicapped. I still remember his screams. My mother was going out to defend him, but there was no point with people being bullied because it would not do anything. On the contrary, in America, the disabled have primary rights in education, also in dealing with natural persons, and it has come to my attention that the disabled person has priority in the first parking spot in the parking lot closest to the building. What has also caught my attention here in America is that the disabled person has the right to work and is dependent on the natural man. I went from about a month to the supermarket and I was hired by an employee with special needs who worked there alongside natural people. The rights of the disabled are of great importance to the right of communities to give them permission to help them build a civilized society. Finally, we have been created with no choice over our bodies or our minds. The healthy should respect others with special needs and give them all their rights to education, work, and good treatment. Thank you.
Thank you, Rania. Please help me in welcoming Rajidul to the podium.
Thank you so much for inviting me in here. And I also like to thank you, Miss Regina and Miss Maria, to choose my essay. And also like to thank Miss Regina's team. And I really appreciate it. I'm from Bangladesh. So my topics for the essay is like the difference and the similarities. So a constitution is a fundamental document for the citizens of a country. A constitution contains all the rights and responsibilities of a citizen in a country. Constitution is very important for a given country because it guarantees to the citizens their rights. In this modern world, most countries have their own constitution. However, there are still some countries that don't have constitution, and there is also some countries in their countries the people, the citizens don't obey the constitution. United States and Bangladesh has some similarities and also a lot of difference. The United States is a great country. US citizens are protected by the American Constitution. Everyone has to follow the Constitution. All citizens have rights to freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of press. Anyone can follow any religion, and They can say whatever they want. It can be against the government. Citizens can speak freely as long as it's not going to harm to the country. Here, citizens can vote. It doesn't matter if they're a man or a woman. Everyone has the same rights. In the United States, a president can only stay in office for 2 terms. Therefore, there is no chance to turn into dictatorship. Bangladesh has also a constitution. In Bangladesh, citizens also have the rights to follow any religion, even though it's a Muslim country. Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity are all practiced in Bangladesh. Nowadays, people in Bangladesh are facing a problem. That is like if anyone say anything against the government, they get arrested. During our most recent national election, people went to give their vote, but they find out somebody has already voted for them. The reason for this issue is that the government wants to stay in parliament till 2041 because they want to make digital Bangladesh within 2041. Unfortunately, the United States is a great country. My country is 100 years behind from the United States. But the government is trying their best to change the country for the better. We can compare with the United States because the United States is a lot of more developed. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajido. Please help me in welcoming our next student, Murillo.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm from Brazil, and today I'm going to read about the similarities between Brazil and United States Constitution. Human rights have been forced countries to make change in their regulations in order to comply with topics that members of United Nations promote and encourage to be followed. In the past century, diverse countries made changes in their laws to improve the way society works. 2 big nations share the same values, Brazil and the US, which made them undergo drastic law change to protect their citizens from race discrimination and to create LGBT rights. Today, most of the laws and civil rights overlap. Both countries abominate any kind of racial discrimination. To assure or to avoid their population to suffer this kind of problem, they create laws that condemn individuals who attempt to harm physically or emotionally people from different races or origins. Since both countries shared a long history of slavery, the first step was to abolish permanently the slavery in the country. In 1865, the United States assured the end of slavery when the Congress passed the 13th Amendment. Similarly, in Brazil did the same when the Lei Áurea, as known as Golden Law, was adopted in 1888. The second step was to give African Americans or African Brazilians the right to become citizens and have the same rights as any other citizen. Nowadays, the challenge for both governments is to create laws and ways to help Afro-descendants to have access to education and basic needs. To do so, they have been creating social programs that give support to all those peoples. Another regulation that both nations share in common is LGBT rights. In 2015, the US Supreme Court ruled in favor of same-sex marriage. Likewise, in Brazil, the Supreme Court made it legal in 2013. These laws allowed same-sex couples to be seen as a family by the law, giving them the same rights as any other heterosexual couple. Although LGBT community has rights, they still face discrimination nationwide. For examples, gay can be deferred from donated blood, While in the United States, they can donate blood as long as they stay 12 months without sexual contact with the same sex. In Brazil, gays cannot donate blood in any circumstances. It's clear that human rights have changed the constitution in diverse countries, bringing them together to defend every single individual rights. As example, we saw that Brazilian and US constitution have the similar concepts. Even though they went through major change, there's always room for improvement, and with United Nations intervention, they will work towards to a better world for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Ahmed. He's going to be reading on behalf of his cousin who's at work and couldn't come. And just so you know, his cousin worked as an embedded soldier in Afghanistan. He was an interpreter for American troops.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Distant Learning Center and the student government. Second, I'm from Afghanistan, and as well as my cousin. I'm here on behalf of Farhad Payandazada to read his essay. The essay is about women's rights in Afghanistan. I would like to say a few words about U.S. Constitution. What is Constitution? Why is the Constitution important? The U.S. Constitution is very important because it protects individual freedoms and is a fundamental principle to every country, whether it's the United States Constitution or Afghanistan. The Constitution places the government power in the hands of the citizens. It limits the government and establishes a system of check and balance. Now allow me to talk about Afghan women's rights. 40 years ago, while Afghanistan was stable and secure, Afghanistan was a very independent country before the Civil War. Especially, women had a lot of freedoms and many more opportunities like American women have it now. Everything who torn apart, then the Taliban captured Afghanistan. During the rule of the Taliban, women were treated worse than during any other leadership in the history of Afghanistan. They were forbidden to work. Women could not go anywhere, even to seek medical help from a male doctor. Under the Taliban regime, women were also forced to cover themselves completely from head to toe, even covering their eyes. Women who were doctors and teachers suddenly were forced to beg and even prostitute in order to feed their family. Women accused of prostitution were publicly stoned to death in the soccer stadium in Kabul. Women's rights in Afghanistan are improving on an international level now through different former rules such as Mujahideen and the Taliban. In the latter past of the 20th century, women had very little to no freedom, specifically in the terms of civil liberties. Ever since the Taliban regime was removed in 2011, women's rights have gradually improved under the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. Now many schools open their doors to girls and women to go back to school. There is progress towards equality. A new constitution in 2013 ensured women's rights in it, and women can vote and drive according to Afghanistan law. Now I would like to put some light about the United States Constitution, which is way different than Afghanistan. According to the United States Constitution, the first three words, "we the people," affirm that the government of the United States will serve its citizens. But there are some women who complain that they have no equality in pay, job opportunities, political structures, social security, and education will remain an elusive dream without a guarantee of equality in the U.S. Constitution. The progress we have made and must continue to make towards women's equality can be lost at any time because those advances depend on legislation that can be and has been weakened or repealed by Congress. Although we failed in ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment, winning a constitution guarantee of equal for women remain one or no top priorities. All men are created equal in the Declaration of Independence, not the Constitution. The word equality does not appear anywhere in the Constitution. We saw women go into space, run for Congress, be appointed to the Supreme Court, anchor the news, break Olympic records. Women led billion-dollar companies, become successful lawyers, doctors, writers, journalists, artists, and rock the world with their music and dance. American women have more rights compared to Afghanistan women. All these progresses come from stability. The United States never had any stability issues that Afghanistan has faced for 4 decades. At the end, I must mention that the US Constitution is primarily documented. We must accept it and follow it from the bottom of our hearts. Long live Americans and Afghanistan.
We'd like to thank everybody for coming today and showing your support. And we'd like to invite the winners of the Constitution Day essay to come up so we can take your picture. And Ahmed, you can come up on behalf of your cousin.